There's a conversation going on. They're talking to each other. Yeah, welcome back to the channel, guys. You are here with the big fella. And a big welcome back to my new subscribers, courtesy of my last video, which is being played right now. I really had no idea how well this video would resonate, especially amongst a bunch of potential new viewers, but it's actually gone off pretty well. So a big thanks from me for checking it out. So as you can probably tell, we're back out in the shed and we have some modifications to do to our frog hotels. So let's get into some details. Here at Bunnings, and we're just trying to find a bit of a solution for an idea that we've got. So we've got some stainless steel bolts and lock nuts, and what we're trying to do is make a bit of a standoff for some Perspex, so we can put some pipes into some correct locations instead of having them wobble around all over the place in the rock. So we're just going to see what we can find here. So there was a common rush and there's a bunch of other hydroponic plants that we could have used, but this looks like it's probably about the best thing for it. It just needs to be trimmed back a bit. This, the nuts and bolts, and a piece of acrylic sheet or Perspex in a rather fetching shade of blue. Alright guys, so a quick update on our recent acquisitions here. So we've got some M8 stainless steel hex-headed bolts and some nylock nuts as well. So they're going to go into the bottom of the pot. So we've got some common rush, and we've got an 8-inch drawing template that we can use to draw our template onto a bit of Perspex. Now as for this bit of blue Perspex here, it is a bit extraneous to our needs. Silly me. Now because I didn't have the information that I need to get this template drawn out as efficiently as possible, what I've got here is some leftover Perspex from a previous job. And what we have to do is to take apart the frog hotel as it is. It means taking out all the pipes, all the rock, the whole lot, to measure the inside of the pot. We didn't really need to do that because what we do is go down to Bunnings and measure the inside of the pot down there, and we find out that it is roughly 200 millimeters or 20 centimeters or 8 inches. Pick your poison. What we have is a piece of leftover Perspex which is good enough for the job, so I'll just show you that. And so this leftover piece of Perspex here is, well, it's probably about 220 mil across, so it's more than wide enough for what we need to get these supports cut out. So we'll be using this. Here is the scale, just to get the accurate measure of what we're dealing with. That should just about do it for the base. And all we've got to do now is to get the hole saw or hole saws and cut out the outside diameter of the pipes so they can be located inside the Perspex. And that'll be the 65, 50 and 40 mil, as well as the 15 mil for the light. Okay guys, so the tools I'm going to be using for this are common garage tools if you've got them. A jigsaw and some hole saws, a drill to use the hole saws. I think that's probably it. When you go for cutting up the pipes, you usually have a Dremel or something similar to cut through them, but this is a little bit more specialized. So you're actually going into Perspex and not just PVC. So acrylic is a little bit more sensitive, it's more sensitive to heat, something I've got to watch out for as well. So now we've got two of these circles drawn. So the plan is for these to neatly sit inside of each of the pots. So what we're going to do is take each of these ones, so there's your 50 mil, there's your 40, there's your 15, but I didn't have any offcuts of the old 65 mil pots, so what I found instead was the trumpet of one of those air horns down there, which is about 70 mil. So that needs to be the outside diameter of what I need to put in down here. Right, I'm trying to mark out some holes for a template of how these pipes should sit on this base. Now, what I've done is just got 40 mil pipes at the front here and 250 mils sitting at the sides. Now, I haven't marked out the 65 mil pipes yet, but they'll be next. But there is another problem that I've just encountered. What we've got is that plant that we're going to put in there, which is the common rush. Now, the problem here, now we have two of these. I think you can probably see what the problem is, because that plant is not going to fit in the middle of all this. So what I'm proposing is what we do is maybe divide this plant in half, perhaps, and find some smaller pots to put it in. Oh, I just had an idea. What I might do is to maybe subdivide some of that plant and put it in some 50mm pipes or something similar. See how it goes from there. So I'll put another 50mm pipe over here with the plant inside it, and it's only a rough, it's not finalized yet. That should allow enough room for these bolts just to offset it to actually prop it up on the inside of the pot. So that's the whole effort of this little exercise. Now I've marked out all the holes. Now this is only preliminary, it's not final, it's not exact, it's just a mock-up, but this is actually pretty close to what I want as a final product. The one in the middle isn't actually going to be a hole. That's kind of where I want to put this pipe on top of, so it does kind of serve a purpose as marking out where something will actually sit, so that the plant will probably sit in the middle of this. That's kind of just a theory right now, it hasn't actually fleshed out. Now as far as the bolts go, where I'm going to put the bolts as to prop it up, what I'm going to do is kind of put one of the lock nuts onto the base of the thread here, and another lock nut on the other side of the Perspex. So it's kind of going to sandwich the Perspex in place with both of these lock nuts. So 2 lock nuts per one thread. We'll see how that goes. But right now that's just a template, and that's kind of where we're at with the whole design. So last night I made a bit of a boo-boo with this one, because what happened was I drew that template on the Perspex without realizing that the protective sheet was still attached to it. So I have to basically start all over again, and same with this one. Yeah, so that's going to have to go, and we're going to have to start the template all over again. But that's okay, didn't get too far. And so now I've seen the error of my ways and taken off the protective plastic on the acrylic. What I've done is to redo the size of the templates for the standoffs for the bottom of the pipe. So this is all an effort of making a support or a platform for the pipes to be slotted into, so we don't need to have 2 people holding the pipes and pouring the rocks in, so they can kind of be stabilized by holding them up probably about that far. So after a round of the jigsaw and now the Dremel, what we've done is to get ourselves a nice, relatively round type of piece of acrylic. So what we've done here is I've actually marked up a bit of a crosshair type design so I can more accurately place the pipes instead of having to just guess where they're all going. So we've done one, and we're going to mark out some pipes. Then we're going to do the next one. So this times 2. Okay, success. Now all these circles are going to represent where the pipes are, but all the crosses, those are going to be where the standoffs are going to be, where the bolts are. And here we have our hole saws. Now this part of the project is either going to make it or break it. So here we have a whole assortment of them, but there's only certain sizes that are going to actually fit with the holes we need to be cut out. So our size is out here, and 70, which isn't included, but it's from a different set. So what we're going to do is attach this to our drill, get busy boring some holes. I had a sneaky suspicion in the back of my mind that something like this might happen. That's one of the 40 mils already cut out, and there's about 3 mil gap between the hole and the outside of the acrylic, but you can see it's kind of snapped. Just a quick note about working with acrylic or a Perspex, and working with hole saws on Perspex as well. If you don't have the right tools for the job, just be wary, it can be quite bitey. You can get injured a little bit. So I do recommend clamps or a vise or something, because it just wants to work right out of your hands. It's not pretty. Another bit of advice, maybe use lubrication. And success. So, or 98% success, I would say, except for that little chip there. Now I have a working template for which to kind of just transfer everything across to this one here, and make the whole job just that little bit easier, hopefully, anyway. So I can use those holes and just go through with the hole saws exactly where they need to go. And all I have to worry about after that is just cutting around the outside, which I probably should have done in the first place, but you learn these things, don't you? Anyway, let's get into that. So it has been fairly successful so far. I really didn't know if this was going to work out or not. The signs are looking good, so I want to keep it an open mind with this, and we'll see how it all goes tomorrow, or whenever I get the Frog Hotels cleaned out. So stay tuned. Alright folks, so it's the next day, and we now have two functional keepers, pipe keepers, made out of acrylic, or Perspex, whatever you choose, and they've just been worked around with the Dremel, so there's no rough edges anywhere, so the pipes are going to slip into them nice and smoothly. And yes, the ground is very crunchy because I am standing in a lot of acrylic swarf. So next part is to get these bolts put into where these X's are marked, or the surviving X's anyway. I've made a rough measurement of how far down the bolt this lock nut was going to go. The one that's on top of that is going to sandwich the acrylic in between these two lock nuts. So that's how this is going to work. So let's see how that goes. And hey presto, with a wave of my 2 ratchets and 13mm sockets, we have standoffs. Okay, so there's 3 of them, and they are at the, well, what I would say would be the correct height. So you can see the pipes actually being supported by the height of the standoffs that are providing. So just as another example, there's your little one, that's for the light, and it's perfect, it's great. I've joined a couple of Facebook groups recently, and I've shown them the frog hotels as I made them, and they always come back with one question: how do you get so many frogs into your hotel? I go back to the 3 simple things that you need, the 3 absolute basics that you need for frogs to come to your hotel, which are shelter, water, and light. Those 3 things all put together, you will get a huge amount of frogs in no time. So the first one, shelter. They will go anywhere that they don't feel like they're being threatened or there aren't any predators. So they will find a hollow log or up an air conditioning duct or somewhere similar. So if you can find them and you can coerce them into going into your hotel, that's step number 1. So number 2 can aid number 1, which is the light. So they will come to where they will find insects. So light attracts insects, insects attracts frogs. So, and they will go for a place that is fairly well lit or dimly lit, enough to attract a few insects so they can have a meal. And the third one, which is water, they will go to somewhere that is fairly damp. So you see a frog come out most of the time if it's humid or after rain or something like that. They'll always be around. If you don't see them, then it's very likely in certain settings that you'll hear them. They'll croak away. They love water conditions, so that's kind of where they're born. So they'll want to go back to water. They'll want a creek bed or somewhere like a pond or something like that. If you can replicate those conditions, then yeah, you're pretty much on a winner straight away. So most of the time around here you'll find green tree frogs. I know other places you'll find Perrin's frog, you'll find white-lipped frogs anywhere around here. So this is mostly Australia I'm referring to. Wherever they are, they're probably going to be around maybe a wildlife type of setting, somewhere like a rural background or something. Or if it's a new community that's opened up in some sort of parklands where there were frogs before and they want to come back and kind of want to be rehomed. So you'll want something that can help them into an environment that they were either removed from or that they kind of want to seek out because they don't really have a home right now as it is. So mine want to go for rooftops and guttering and drains and whatever because the environment's mostly wet. The only thing that doesn't keep them there is there's a lack of food. There is shelter, there's water, but there's no light. So they come down to the hotel and they get all the light they want because there's a couple of garden lights there. Wherever there's light, like I said, they attract insects. It's a very simple type of recipe, and all you have to do is just replicate it, and you should have frogs in no time. Now tomorrow we're going to clean out the frog hotels, and a lot of this stuff that we've done is a preliminary measure as to how things are supposed to be sitting in the pots. Now we don't really know how it's all going to sit there until we started to clean out the hotels. So all this stuff here is only preliminary, so I don't know if it's going to sit the way that I hope it will. These plant holders here aren't in their final place either, so I don't know if I'm going to actually have them sitting on top of here or if I have to actually make a hole similar to these in the middle. So I think these containers or these tubes are going to be a little bit too tall. So it's either going to be having them sit inside the pot, probably exposed to about that far, or make another hole here, let it sit properly, and then trim off the excess. But we need the pots to be empty to actually make some final decisions about how things are going to sit. Now that being said, the frogs will be outside of the hotel and they'll be sitting in another bucket with a little bit of water and maybe a lid on the top, but they'll be out of the sun, so they won't have to be in the one place for very long. So I'm thinking probably about maybe 20 minutes, you know, and they'll be fine. They'll be kept in the shed here, I think, so it's not going to be a hot day tomorrow, so we'll see how they go. Okay folks, so it's another day and we're going to clean out the frog hotels. I'm just going to show you what we've got to deal with here. So I've taken the pot out of the bucket and I filled it up with a little bit of fresh water. And what we're going to do is to place that pipe keeper inside the pot. But what we're going to do first is to dig out around the rocks around the pipes. Now it's a bit of a fiddly job, but you don't want to do the alternative, which is just to go for the easy way and snatch the pipes out of the rocks, because down there somewhere you've still got tenants inside there. Right, so what you want to do, because most of them will actually sit down right at the bottom of the pipes, okay, you don't want to just pull them right out and they're kind of clamoring on for the pipe as it's being pulled out. Some of them will actually get inadvertently jammed in between the rocks, and you don't want that to happen because you could kill them. So that's one precautionary note. And so what we have here is the necessary stuff for cleaning out the hotels, which is basically a sieve or a strainer of some sort to put the rocks into and get them cleaned out with a pressure washer. We've got a pipe cleaner, we've got a scoop, and importantly we've got the big red bucket to put all the clean rocks into. So the only pipe you can really safely remove at this point is the light, which you're pretty much guaranteed is not going to have any frogs in there. So we've taken out the top layer of rocks, and you can see all the mold around the outside. That's what happens when you leave them for the winter, because they're busy hibernating. And down here, all the mouldy rocks are just about to get a blast with maybe a jet setting on the hose. If it turns out to be too hard, maybe I'll throw the pressure washer onto it. Most of the rocks have been cleaned out through that grate there, but we've also taken the pipes out, and all the frogs have been removed from the pipes. We've got a little bit of cleaning up to do here, but our residents are now here, and they'll be put back in once we finish. So just a quick elaboration on these pipes and how to clean them out properly. So what you want to do is take a pipe cleaning brush, a bottle brush like this. What you want to do is just kind of insert, push through, etc. Okay, just give it a twist, give it a clean, no problem. Just use water, no detergents, no additives, nothing like that. Frogs don't like them. So this is a 50mm pipe, so it'll work on 40mm, work on 32mm. Might have a bit of trouble with a 65mm pipe, but you'll just have to kind of run it around the inside a little bit. Use this and a pressure washer, a Karcher, a gurney, whatever you use, and yeah, that's pretty much all you need. It should be good after that. Okay, so the decision has been made to actually cut through this center hole right here because it sits too proud in the pot. I want to try and bring it up to about the level of the other pipes if we can. Sitting on top of the Perspex was good in theory, but until we actually cleaned out the frog hotels, not great. Now it's been decided to cut through them. Let's get into it. And success, we have one freshly cut center hole. So if you're going to cut out one of these holes in acrylic or Perspex, put a little bit of water down first, which really helps to lubricate the surface and avoids that bite. And we've got one completed pipe keeper in place. Now there's a bit of a gap down between the wall of the pot and the keeper itself, so some rocks will get down there, but that doesn't really matter. The job of the keeper is to keep the pipes in place while you put the rocks in. So something to note about this keeper and the diameter of the pipes, there will be a bit of slack, so when you get a little bit of wobble, don't worry about it, because they will be kept in place most of the time. They're just going to kind of wobble about a little bit because you're going to have maybe about 2 or 3 millimeters, as you can possibly see down there. But that's what you got with the hole saws and the differences in the PVC pipes. So our next job is to actually cut this one up and divide it into two between the two frog hotels, and that is to be put in the middle of the pots. And now we have one dissected common rush. Now if you're going to do this, may I offer a bit of advice, maybe just to get some tube stock instead. Splitting these in half was not exactly the easiest thing to do. Okay, half the job is done. We've got Frogly Towers over here, the scruffy looking one, and the one that's just been done with a fresh new plant called Hotel Danura. And yes, the residents have been redeposited into their rooms. They don't like being moved. It's like moving a fish when you're trying to clean an aquarium. It's probably just as bad. Got half of it done, and what we do now is rinse and repeat. Literally. Just like that, it's done. I wish it was that easy, really. But yeah, another day, and We've got Frogly Towers over here and Hotel Downura are both open for business. It's the frogs that don't really care about the aesthetics, we humans do. So getting everything kind of lined up and sorted out as far as the rocks go, that's a human thing. The frogs, they really don't care. It's just a matter of getting in there and feeling safe, getting a bit of light, having a feed, getting wet, having a good time. You know, that's the things frogs do. So there we have it, folks. The frog hotel's been upgraded, cleaned out, and the frogs are sorted for the next little while anyway. I've been meaning to do that upgrade for a little while because the pipes never really want to sit up by themselves, especially in that pot, because there's kind of like a dome type of thing in the bottom of it, and the pipes just want to keep on falling over to the sides. So it was more a journey of exploration and discovery as far as what was going to work inside that pot, because you're basically working with a blank canvas. You have nothing to compare it to. So if I had myself a spare pot, then I could say, yeah, this is going to work, or no, this isn't going to work, and the keeper's going to be so functional, or it's not going to work at all. So it was more a hit and hope type of approach, and I kind of got both. So it was a bit of a hope and sort of a hit, because the pipes don't really move as far as what they used to. So it kind of works. So as I said, the frogs don't really care. So as long as they've got a home and somewhere to hang out, then they're fine. So that about wraps it up for another video, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and thank you again to all the new subscribers for joining the channel. You're much appreciated. Again, if you've tried something like this for yourself, please post a comment and tell me how you did. Give us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So it really helps the channel out. All right, folks, this is the big fella. Have a good one.